In pig farming, sow management is very, very important. Now, why is it important? It's important because how you manage your sows or how you manage your pigs after you have weaned the piglets from them will determine how quickly they will be able to get back into the heat cycle. And it's only when these pigs have gone back to their heat cycle that they can be able to be mated before they get pregnant again and give birth again. So this is why sow management is very, very key in your production as a pig farmer. So one of the very first things we do here at our farm is when we wean our piglets, which we usually do between 4 to 5 weeks, our piglets don't stay with their mothers for over 5 weeks. Because once we wean them, we give them a special diet which is meant for them, for their own system, which will help them to grow fast and help them to develop their organs. Now, the very first thing we do once we wean the piglets from their mothers is we allow them to stay alone. On this farm, we have a separate farrowing section where each pig stays one. Each pig stays alone. And why we prefer our pigs to stay alone, or why it's advised that your pigs stay alone is number one, it will reduce their stress levels. Unlike when a pig is pregnant and is now trying to fight for food, fight for water, fight for space with other pigs in that same pen. This could lead to miscarriage. It could lead to a lot of birth complications, which we do not want, or which any farmer should not even think of having in his or her farm. So this is why it's always advised that your pigs stay alone when they are pregnant. Then they also stay there to farrow and give and breastfeed their piglets till they wean them, till they are weaned. Now, once we wean our piglets from the mothers at 5 weeks or 4 weeks, depending on their growth rates, we allow the mothers to stay in their pen for 1 full week, sometimes even 2 weeks. Now, once they are there for that 1 or 2 weeks, we focus on making them to regain their body weight. As you all know, once pigs give birth and they start breastfeeding their piglets, they will start losing their body weight, especially if the feed is not very, very nutritious or very, very rich in carbohydrates and proteins. They will start losing their body weight at a very fast rate. Especially, and it's even worse when the pigs give birth to high number of piglets. For example, a sow that gave birth to 5 piglets will not lose the body weight as fast as a pig that gave birth to 10 or 11 or 12. So this is why sow management is very, very important. Once they lose that body weight, most likely they will struggle to perform at the optimal level when it comes to production, except they have gained back their body weight and they are now healthy. So once we leave them there to stay for like 2 or 1 week, we do some certain things which is geared or which is basically focused on making them to get back to their optimum health levels. Now, when they are there, we feed them very nutritious foods, which of course the formulations are all contained in the pig farming ebook, which I always talk about. All the pig formulas are always there, all the medications are there. Now, once we leave them there to stay there for 1 or 2 weeks, we give them a lot of food in large quantities and in the specific diet formula. Now, the next thing we do is we now go to medication, to the medical aspect. As you all know, when pigs are breastfeeding their animals, they lose a lot of vitamins, they lose a lot of dietary components from their bodies, which they give to the piglets in form of breast milk. Now, some of these medications are geared towards flushing their system and making their system as healthy as possible before they are served, before they are given to a male to be mated. Now, the very first thing we do is, when it comes to the medical aspect, is we get their body rid of all external parasites. As you all know, when pigs are pregnant, you don't give them any form of medication except multivitamins and maybe for skin parasite, which is this one. But personally on this farm, I find it difficult to give my pigs any type of medication aside multivitamins once they are pregnant. So once we wean their piglets, now we want to focus on making sure that they are as healthy as possible, which is now why we administer as many drugs as possible. Because we know that once they get pregnant again, giving them medication becomes kind of difficult. So the first thing we do is we give them the ivermectin, which is basically for skin parasites. Our goal is basically to get their bodies rid of all manner of skin parasites. That is why the ivermectin is very important. Now the dosage is written on the drug, so you just have to look at it and know how you administer it to your pigs. Now the next drug we give is antibiotics. Now there are two antibiotics I use on this farm. One is the long-acting antibiotics, which a lot of you, I assume, already know, and gentamicin. Now, these antibiotics, they basically do two different things. Gentamicin has its own functions, and the long-acting antibiotics has its own functions. So, these are the two antibiotics I give to my pigs to flush their system of all manner of bacteria and just to make them as healthy as possible before they get into the next pregnancy cycle. Because once they become pregnant, I cannot inject them any of these antibiotics to avoid miscarriage or to avoid stillbirth. So this is why once you wean your piglets from the mothers, you give them these two antibiotics. It's very, very important. This will make their systems, their body, their stomach, their body entirely as healthy as possible, which of course will contribute to the number of piglets they will give birth to, and which will contribute to them just being as healthy as possible, so that they can be able to reproduce healthy piglets and not have any issues. This is why it's always advised that you medicate your pigs before they are mated. It has a lot of advantages. Now, before I even give any of these antibiotics, I always deworm them. You have to deworm them and flush them of all manner of worms in their body system. As you all know, pigs tend to have a lot of worms in them. Now, that is why you always have to deworm. Now, this deworming drug is called levamisole. Now, this drug is is a very strong injection. So once your pigs are pregnant, it's not advised that you even give them this injection because it might lead to miscarriage. It might lead to abortion. So that is why you have to give this only when you are sure that they are not pregnant. And the best time to give it is once you wean the piglets from the sows. Now you give them this levamisole injection. This will flush their body of all manner of worms and prepare their body for the next production cycle. And of course, we have the multivitamin. The major reason why I inject my pigs multivitamin once I wean their piglets is to increase their appetite and to also increase their vitamin levels, which will make them to have more appetite to eat and take as much water as possible. So this is why these drugs are important. And I give these drugs apart from the woman drug, which I give only once, and this which I only give once. I give this once. When it comes to antibiotics, you have to give them for at least 2 or 3 days. So this you have to give your pigs these 2 times or 3 times. That's one time per day. Then of course the multivitamin. I inject this one for 3 days, at least 3 days. This will boost their appetite and make them eat as much as possible. And of course, make them as healthy as possible. So that's basically it on today's video on how to manage your sows. And mind you, before you take your sow to the boer to be mated, you must make sure that the body condition is now okay, that it has gained back some weight, and that it has started eating and responding well to the food and to its environment.